and welcome back. I'm Hannah Young, and I am the SRF's Communications Manager. I hope you all had a refreshing break and are ready to learn how you can collaborate to make a difference by becoming a member of the Cure Crew. But first, a few reminders. I'd like to invite you to visit the SRF Hub if you haven't yet had a chance to do so. It's located in the menu on the left-hand side of the website. You can learn more about what the SRF does, the research that we fund, and all of that kind of good stuff. We also have several interactive activities you can complete for the chance to win some great prizes, so don't miss out on that. Go to the virtual challenge page on the menu to your left to learn more. Finally, I'd love to encourage you to share information or stories about scleroderma on social media for Scleroderma Awareness Month. Use the hashtag #SayScleroderma and tell people why it matters to you that everyone knows what this disease is and does. We'd love to see what you share, so I invite you to tag us at SRF Cure on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. With all of that, I'm pleased to introduce our Director of Community Engagement, Gloria Blecha. Gloria joined the SRF in January of 2020. She's a successful fundraising professional with over 13 years of experience fundraising for health-based nonprofit organizations. In her role at the SRF, she is responsible for supporting the organization's mission by facilitating educational initiatives and connecting with members of the scleroderma community to share their experiences as a form of advocacy. She collaborates with corporate supporters and works with other nonprofit organizations to spread awareness. Gloria also liaises with members of the Cure Crew, a group of grassroots volunteers and advocates who spread awareness of scleroderma and raise funds for a cure. I'll hand it off to Gloria now.
I am so excited to be here today to talk to these amazing Cure Crew panelists and answer some of your questions out there in the audience. But first, let me tell you a little bit about the Cure Crew. The Cure Crew is a grassroots volunteer program that raises awareness about scleroderma and the funds to support SRF's research program. Cure Crew members around the world are united by a shared belief in the power of research to help people with scleroderma live longer, fuller lives and lead us closer to a cure. Today, we've invited 3 Cure Crew members to share their experiences of how they became advocates, things they have learned along the way, and to answer some of your questions. I'd like to introduce Beth Lucida, Kimberly Gonzalez, and Martha Seaman. Welcome. You each have your own reasons for volunteering to make a difference, as well as unique ways of doing so. Beth, why don't you start by introducing yourself and sharing your why and how you participate in the Cure Crew?
Thanks, Gloria. Beth Lucida. I live in Austin, Texas, and in 1995, my mother was diagnosed with scleroderma. At the time, they knew very little about it and had only given her a 2 to 4 year lifespan. And I am happy to say she stuck with us for 14 years. We lost Mom in 2009. So when she was first diagnosed, we were trying to figure out how we could raise awareness and help raise some funds for research. So my husband and I started a golf event, and we actually did that for 18 years. And since that time, we're doing some events through the restaurants that I own, where we have days that we donate proceeds from our net sales from all the locations. And we're constantly trying to think of new and energetic ways to get people involved and spread awareness.
Excellent. Thank you so much. That's amazing.
Thank you.
And Kimberly, how about you? Tell us a little about yourself.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name's Kimberly. I'm 25 years old, and I have scleroderma. I've had scleroderma since I was 8. They misdiagnosed me until I was 12. So growing up with scleroderma at such a young age, it was really hard, and I didn't see much people like me. So I wanted to be the change. So here I am spreading awareness on my Self-Love Sister podcast and Instagram.
Excellent. And you do such a wonderful job of that as well.
Thank you.
And Martha?
Yes, I am Martha Seaman. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm the mother of a child with scleroderma. My daughter, Sophie Ann, was diagnosed in 2019 at 7 years old. And it was shocking, honestly. We had never heard of the disease. And she's now 10. And she's doing well on medication. So we feel fortunate at this time. We take it day by day. And at first we just felt so hopeless, and we wanted to make a difference, similar to both of our other panelists. And we just really started trying to spread the word about scleroderma, sharing it on social media, participating in SRF fundraisers, and letting Sophie Ann just really be an advocate for herself. And also Sophie Ann has spoken about her disease and shares it with her friends, talks very openly. And we try to do our best to just really get the word out there and share it with family and friends. And we find that by doing that, it's like very healing, and empowering, and takes that hopelessness away that we have, and gets us through each day, hoping that, a cure will be found by just spreading the word and making it more known.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's what it's going to take, right?
Right.
So thank you so much for the introductions, and let's get to some questions. Beth, someone wants to know, what would you say is important to know if someone wants to organize a fundraising event?
I think one of the most important things is you really have to tap into your network, into something you're familiar with, that your friends are familiar with, business colleagues. If you try to go out and say you're not a golfer and you're not in the golf community and you host a golf fundraiser, it's a lot more challenging than it is to kind of stay within your network of friends and associates. That's something that helped us quite a bit, because we're both avid golfers. And so as you think of things, and then I think you and I talked about that one of the things we're doing now is playing pickleball. So we're thinking about doing a pickleball event. I think it's always tapping in to resources and what is happening out in your community.
Right. That makes sense. Kind of doing what you know instead of trying new things, right?
It's so, even if you're familiar, it's so challenging. It is a lot of work. And you're always trying to expand the support instead of always targeting the same people. That spreads awareness, but people don't get tired out over the same thing. So if you don't understand it, it makes it a lot more challenging.
That makes sense. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Kimberly, another person living with scleroderma, wants to know how you got started and why, and how did you decide to share your journey with scleroderma?
I started at 21 years old. I had a stroke from another autoimmune disease, and I took off my mask and I said, you know what, like there has to be other people living with scleroderma specifically, because I know all the other rare diseases that I have is so unknown. So my why was I want to be the change. I want to see more people like me. I want to see young adults living with scleroderma. This needs to be more awareness because it was so unknown.
Right. And I think you mentioned too that it actually helped you find a community, right? Because you were feeling alone, right?
Yes. I had no like family members, no friends to talk to. So putting myself on social media helped me and helped others, because it is important to find a community. That way you don't feel like you're going through this alone.
Yeah, that's very important. And you post almost weekly just information about scleroderma and talking about yourself and how it affects you. And it's very powerful. It's wonderful to see.
Thank you so much.
And Martha, I want to know what has surprised you in your journey from being a donor to becoming an advocate. It's not a journey that, some people take it, but some people don't, but you just dove right in.
Right. I mean, we had to make a decision, right? Do we sit here and dwell on this, or do we make a difference? What can we do and how can we move forward? And, my husband and I sat down together and we said, we've got to do something. And so we got involved with the Scleroderma Research Foundation pretty quickly, donating like, okay, we're going to donate to research. We're going to do what we can. And then very soon after that, really partnered with them to share our story and get our story out there pretty soon after Sophie Ann's diagnosis. And that is just like a very empowering thing, because you're like, okay, I'm not just sitting here feeling hopeless. I'm sitting here working on a way to get the word out, share with other people, let other people know that kids get scleroderma too. It's not just an adult disease. And our daughter was so fortunate to be diagnosed in less than 2 weeks from the time we took her to the doctor. And that makes a huge difference with this disease. And so Jeff and I knew we could make a difference. And so just being of service to others, sharing our story, keeping, our daughter comfortable with it and sharing it with her friends. It really made a difference. And just going from that helpless state to that state of feeling like we could make a difference and we could help other people.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, being of service sometimes helps you through your own situations. 100%. Yeah. So Beth, you mentioned that you did the golf tournament for 18 years, and now you're doing these wonderful awareness raising for the whole month of Scleroderma Awareness Month, awareness raising, and then the proceeds on National Scleroderma Day. And, what keeps you going? What makes you want to keep raising funds and awareness for scleroderma?
Well, I want to say to both Kimberly and Martha that through the experience with my mom, attitude is so much of it. She had such a great attitude, and I'm hearing that from both of you with two different perspectives, one going through it and one that has a child. And so my best advice, not that you asked, but I think what helped my mother was being part of these golf events. She had some days that the weather might have been a little bad, but her attitude was, I need to be out there. I need to shake hands. I need to tell people what this is about, and I need to spread awareness. What you guys are doing is fantastic. And that is my drive, Gloria. My mom, towards the end, she said, you need to keep it going. Please don't stop. And that's very important to me. So, and I know if I don't, she's going to come down and hurt me. So I have to stay ahead of that. But and I want to share that this June, last June was our first time to actually do the proceed of sales. So this June, we actually, and you've seen them, we designed T-shirts. So I have over almost 400 employees because we have 4 locations. So they're all wearing T-shirts the entire month of June. And we are also going to have tents on the tables that have a little QR scan that people who ask why they're wearing them, what they're about, they can educate themselves. So we're hoping to do this through the whole month of June. And then again, on the one specific day that we'll do proceeds of sales.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I think the other thing that when we talked before that you had mentioned was people came to the events because of you and your family and your mom, but they continue to come as they learn more about the disease. And then didn't you even mention that someone you knew, her daughter got the disease and she knew about it because of you, right? And the events?
Yeah. Yes. So our first event was 1999. So if you can imagine that long ago where the disease was in awareness. And, even when my mother got it, at that time, there were only 300,000 known cases. So it was challenging. And my husband and I both have businesses. So through that and through school and, our community, people came out for us. But as years went on, they came obviously to support the cause. But we actually had a gentleman that played in one of our golf tournaments who had scleroderma, which was the first time I'd ever heard of a male. He was in his 60s and he came out to the event. And then we had 2 others that had family members. And then most recently, a girlfriend of mine, her daughter, just recently was diagnosed. And so even though that seems like a small amount, and you obviously don't want more people to have it, but it was rewarding for the fact that through the event, people were familiar. They knew to reach out and ask me questions. I could connect them with the foundation. So, in an odd way, it was rewarding for that to come full circle.
Yeah. That's amazing. And creating awareness in the community is one of the first steps, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Let's see. Someone wants to know, Kimberly, what would you say is the most important thing you have learned about sharing your story on social media, which can be very difficult, and other publications as someone who's living with this disease, scleroderma?
I love the fact that people can come up to me and just be like, look, I'm recently diagnosed with scleroderma. More people know about scleroderma. And I feel like, therefore, that's my intention. That's what I'm here for. And just the fact that I can raise awareness, and some people are not, want to be publicly outed with having scleroderma, because I understand it's a very devastating situation. Like, unless you accept it, how can others accept your case? But it feels so good to be like, I guess, that image that they have for someone to continue spreading awareness. And it's just I don't feel so alone. And it's really rewarding to see people smile when they look at my Wisdom Wednesdays.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I know that when we talked before too, you had mentioned, sometimes people can be negative in their comments. They get empowered when they're behind the keyboard. And you were talking about how you don't let that discourage you. And can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. I mean, putting myself out on social media, I knew from the very beginning that there was going to be a lot of people and there was going to be negative people, but I always remembered my why. Why do I continue to spread awareness? And the fact is that no one knows my story. Not those people leaving negative comments just don't know. They don't know what I'm going through. So instead of getting upset or discouraged, I see it very motivational and very positive. I'm like, the more people that know about scleroderma, the more negative comments in the future they're going to stop coming to me. And I'm happy to, go through this because I always remember my why.
Excellent. Yeah, that's important. You're inspiring other people, right? And that's important. So, Martha, I've seen this question a lot. I get this a lot on in emails and in direct messages. Is if a person wants to be involved with the Cure Crew, but they don't have the capacity to donate or have a network of people to ask for donations, some people just aren't comfortable asking, and how can they make a difference? What can they do?
I think, putting yourself out there and sharing your story with your friends and family, sharing your story on social media, offering to help in any way you can. It really is amazing when you start talking about your story. And even since we've shared Sophie Ann's story in her new school community this year, 2 people have come forward that have a grandmother or a friend with scleroderma. And you start, when you share your story, you really realize that, it also helps to know you're not alone, because we've met other people. We've met other parents with children with scleroderma. But just sharing your story makes such a huge difference. And you don't have, if you can't make a donation, you can't organize an event, if it's just not possible in your life right now for any sort of reason, you can just be an advocate. And on social media gets really reaches far, and ask people to share your story on social media. We've done that, and our story has gotten shared. And we've had people that have shared our story and then shared our story. And it's really just amazing how getting the word out there can make such a difference.
Right. And I think your whole family has gotten involved in the awareness part. I mean, I know,
your grandparents, sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles, supporting SRF events, and just supporting Sophie Ann in general, and not being afraid. And they'll say something like, oh, I was somewhere this weekend and I met someone with scleroderma. And, before Sophie Ann's diagnosis, I don't think any of my friends or family actually knew of the disease. And so it is amazing, how many people know about it now that didn't know about it before. And I just think it really makes a difference, because if you are not feeling well and maybe something's wrong, and you think it could be an autoimmune disease of any sort, you really have to be an advocate for yourself with autoimmune diseases. And getting that early diagnosis makes such a difference. And I do think by spreading Sophie Ann's story, we probably have helped some other families in some way get the care they need.
Yeah. And that's what this is all about, right? Finding early awareness, awareness is going to bring about early diagnosis and hopefully better therapeutics and one day a cure.
Helping others is healing. It's just healing. When you help others, you feel like you've helped even one person. It does something to you. It just makes you feel good. And it helps deal with any sadness you may have inside, just by helping others and spreading the word.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. Well, this has been an amazing conversation. I wish we could stay here longer and just talk more. And maybe we will. Maybe we'll bring this back. This will be a great thing to do. That's all we have time for today. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to collaborate and discuss how easy it is to be a member of the Cure Crew. Anyone can make a difference and be an advocate for a cure. I think you all highlighted you just have to find the right fit, do what you know, and remember the inspiration, right? The end goal, your why. And for those watching, if we didn't get to your question, the SRF staff will follow up with you offline following today's forum. Before we go to our next session, there'll be a short survey that will pop up on your screen. If you'd be willing to share your feedback about the presentation, we'd appreciate it. And then our next session will automatically begin in just a couple of minutes. Thank you so much again for joining us today.
Thank you, Gloria.
Thank you.
Gloria.
Kimberly, you're a rock star. Martha, love to Sophie.
Thank you.
Thank you so
guys are
much.
both great
Likewise.
too. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
everything you both do. It means the world. That's what Jeff and I say. Like everything everyone does means the world to us because it's, we will find a cure. I know we will. That's what I always tell Gloria.
Yeah,
We will.
Thanks, everyone.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Gloria.